My name is Nyawira Gashugi. I
was about to say Nyawira, say your name.
no. I have the privilege of being in many spaces, content related, but also in a strange way, I feel like some of the questions being asked, there are some solutions for them. And maybe that's what I want to front to you. I've had the privilege of working with the Joyride podcast. And some of the things they do is that they go to campuses and they have digital workshops. Now, I'm hearing social spaces, and I think the trick, Your Excellency, is to... I think we have many low-hanging fruits when it comes to some of these solutions. The question is, how best can we table them? And I think forums like these are great, but the question would be, how effective will this conversation be in terms of output? Because there are already some practical solutions. That's number one. Number two is when it comes to digital space.
Just 1 second. Okay. Susan, I'm here. These questions we're answering together. I can see Devi is doing his own thing. Where's Priscilla? No, she didn't hear the questions. Who here had the questions? Justin? You didn't? It's okay, Priscilla, you didn't hear the questions. As Nyawira continues, you guys will also touch on, you used to be in charge of this thing, yeah. So please go on, Nyawira.
Okay, so hi Justin, so that's, the first one is that there are creators who are already doing workshops and training, and they've had the privilege of doing it across so many universities in Nairobi, and so I think they already understand the audience and how to use them. So that's number one. Number two is that I sit in an organization called Youth Plus Africa that has championed so many conversations.
I didn't get that. So you're saying the low-hanging fruits?
The low-hanging fruits is that amongst us, there are some solutions to
the questions.
To the questions, but also to needs that the county has for the youth. Because I think the digital economy, you made mention of it, that Nigeria is a good illustration. Nairobi can be the illustration. I won't speak for Kenya. So I think that's something. So that's one. The second thing is at Youth Plus, we did something during the World Youth Day, and it was a great time because we had the privilege of having so many conversations. I see Butita is here, he was part of the ones we had. But there are organizations like these, and I think the question that I have for you is, how then do we interact with county on a formal front to give solutions that we know already exist? So, yeah. Oh, how dare I forget? So, my husband is a gospel artist, and if I don't make mention of this, there's going to be a bit of trouble, is that he runs he does gigs every so often called Chesa Gospel. And so I'm just rooting for Nairobi Festival this year to have a Sunday show because he can curate that segment. So I'm just plugging my book.
But a battle of choirs.
Apana, hii sasa si ya
Nairobi Festival, okay, we can add
this one, we can add the Sunday. Yeah. We're already there. There are already people to, a gospel Sunday, so we can pick up the conversation.
So you be able to attend here,
they can have their tent. At our last okay. So, so yeah.
Okay, I agree. Thanks, Nyawira.
I have one more. I had so many, but I felt like I was talking too much.
Can I go back to your section?
Yeah. You don't do it? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, I'm so glad, Nyawira, you actually brought that up because it's another thing that we forget, that creators and creatives are not just creators and creatives, because this is Kenya. Most guys have gone to school, most guys have degrees, most guys have also the background of formal knowledge in something. I have a psychology background, and I've worked as a psychologist at one of our mental institutions a few years ago. One of the things that I speak about a lot on social media is mental health and wellness, not just from a knowledge perspective, but also from a personal perspective, where I've had to kind of figure out my mental health over the last few years. Something that she's mentioned is about low-hanging fruit. And I think this one is for you, Susan, because you mentioned wellness and health. mental health right now, the stigma around it is really great. A lot of people are actually diagnosed with mental health issues. And while things like what Shiv brought up, exercise, walking, those are amazing solutions that can start from a really young age, right? Things like meditation, things like journaling are things that can be introduced in schools from a very young age. But also some of these issues are identifiable also from a very young age. And when Shiv mentioned drinking as something that we are very good at, that's one of the things that people are doing to deal with their mental health issues that they did not know they have. And now a lot of people online are talking about their experiences, and people are having to learn from peers rather than experienced professionals, right? So issues like neurodivergence, ADHD, autism, which is just a difference in how your brain works. But if it's not diagnosed and treated, or diagnosed and recognized, you grow up to then suffer from more issues. So drinking, that becomes your solution. I personally have had to be diagnosed and medicated to be able to function. Now, on that front, the medication that I take, there's a shortage in Nairobi, there's a shortage in the country, and this is something that happens very often. So we have to speak to people who've traveled, or when we've traveled, to go, can you get this? Can you get this? Because you call your pharmacist, you call your doctor, there's a shortage. Why? Because the drugs are abused, so people buy them, and then they sell them to guys who use them recreationally. So that's another thing. And a lot of creators actually, this is something that they can attest to. The stigma around it, to just talk openly about the things that they're dealing with. And how, again, like Nukavi said, I have a psychology background. I mean, Nyawira. I'm so sorry. And I'm sure there's people here who, they have the platforms and they have the knowledge. And we would love to figure out a way to provide solutions in ways that we don't feel like we've spoken here today and then we never hear from you again, which I don't think will be the case because you guys are awesome. So again, thank you so much for this. Thank you.
I think now we can one last question and then we can respond.
On the Nairobi Festival topic, do you guys just bring mainstream artists or also upcoming artists? And if yes, is there a link that someone can sign up? Where exactly was supposed to sign up? And to just add to what I've forgotten her name. I'm sorry. No, the babe with the blonde hair. I'm sorry. Yes. On the harassment of women, unajua, okay. Some of us, ukiharasiwa, you have to react back. It depends with your background. Mimi nitakukula kofi. Ukinifanyia kitu nitakukula kofi. Lakini sasa ukikula kofi hata mimi pokea yangu ni faint. You know? So please, that's a very serious issue that needs to be yeah, that's it.
Okay. Any other? Good. Okay, guys. First of all, thank you for number one coming, taking the invite seriously, and being here. I don't take it for granted. Many others were invited. You know, there's what we're used to. Hii ni ile tu kawaida tufanya nini, but I purpose to sit here, engage with you, but this is the most important session. Leave the other sessions are good for the audience, but this is the most important session. So I want to thank you so much. Now, you've asked many questions. I've asked Susan to come. She's our CEC for health, wellness, and nutrition and school feeding. Justin is my PA, and so he knows how I think on many things. And so if I don't answer any of the concerns, he will be able to answer. Priscilla and David are busy doing other things, and so I've excused them. Koi is busy coordinating this. So guys, thanks. You know, as I said earlier, when I was not a governor, or when I was not a senator, I craved to have such a session with whoever was in those positions. And so I always remind myself that kama hungekuwa hapo, what we have wanted, I'd have killed for such a session. That the top decision makers of the county can listen to you, and from here, a decision can be made. Something can change, impact can be felt. This is extremely important for us. The place of the creative economy and you guys in the life of Nairobi is magic. You know, it's everything. You guys can turn so much, but many times I think you don't realize because of how much you've not been recognized. You know, I like what you said earlier when you're here, that at least we feel seen. I told you, not just seen, but heard. And not just heard for, you know, they were hearing that noise there, and we were hearing cars on the road, listened to. So a lot of what you've raised, the ideas, are actually going to form part of our policy interventions and the things we will actually do. And as someone has asked, we will tell you that we've done this out of the question you raised. This is the beginning of a relationship potential and an engagement that I hope will last. So the first thing I'm asking for is trust. You know, let's have trust between us. I really mean what I say. And when what I say can't be done in such a time, I'll tell you, this is the hurdle, but this is what we can do, this is what we'll do. That's why I created that sector she was in charge of before, of inclusivity, and I wish Anita was here. Most of my executives in Mombasa, they're doing something on performance contracting. So let me go right into it. And then, I think is it better if you speak first or me? I'd rather speak so you don't contradict me. Okay. I think it's better to start from the last, going back. Where's Nyawira? There you are. So for Nyawira, quickly, the low-hanging fruits. You worked with Youth Plus and whatnot. How we interact with the county going forward. How you guys get an engagement. You see, Nairobi is a government. I have currently like 15,000 staff. I have 17 sub-counties, I have 85 wards. Even that Kajuga you meet reports to me somehow. And so that's why we've created a sector where you should be able to be heard and to be listened to. And this question, especially for your sector, I will allow Susan to be able to take it because they're working on not just a customer service desk, but a place where you bring an issue. Once an issue has been flagged, I have a dashboard where I can see this thing was brought, it was flagged, it's this sector, it has not been responded to, it has not been escalated. I told my guys the other day that one of the principles we're applying in this financial year is an obsession with the customer. Just to be obsessed with the Nairobian. Because ultimately the interest of the customer, which is the resident, aligns very perfectly with our interest as a county government. And so you'll see things happening in that space. We're setting up the customer service desk. And it's all those ones for fire and emergency press war. Not just that, but to be listened to be heard and to get feedback. And we're putting serious investment on that. One of the guys I'm working with had done it in Safaricom, Twiga, and I'm telling him, come. But this is different. We don't have a profit imperative. Nairobi County is not trying to make profit. We're trying to serve the citizens. And so for you guys, apart from just the specific sector, and I wish Clemo was here, he's also in Mombasa, and Nyalita, Susan will be able to tell you, this is who you plug into. We'll have this often meetings, the good thing with doing a quarterly meeting is you track progress. The last time we came, we raised this, what has been done. I've seen it with matatus, I've seen it with market people, I've seen it in many sectors where we've done it, it's working. So every other meeting now becomes a review meeting before new issues. That's very little. That's why it's a low-hanging fruit. You know, it don't cost us much. Now, my brother from Homeboys, who celebrate Osani, I always wanted to see a Kalamashaka road, you know, or Hardstone. There's a petition from South Sea guys for ISA, yeah, and Nameless was really pushing it. We've aligned our street naming process in terms of how the community can ask, so that you don't suddenly wake up tomorrow and see Sakaja Road everywhere. You know, me, I don't want the road named after me. But there are people who, not just in the creative sector, in the life of Nairobi, you know, like John Gaku, the mayor, Magic Mike, the guys who have done things, contributed to this city that need to be recognized. And so for this space, we'll democratize it. And ask you guys, is there someone you recommend who we need to honor? There's a National Heroes and Honors Council that does it for the national level, but for Nairobi, we'll bring it down to us. Who are our heroes? Watu Kaole wanatambua nani? Kuna madhe maybe alikuwa anasaidia watu huko for years, and everyone has gone through our hands. He needs to be recognized. It's not just Ati Francis Atuli Road, Raila Odinga way, Kenyatta. No, our local heroes. And so from the creative economy, you see the problem with the creative economy, which is just how we are as creatives, hatupendi kupangwa. And so because of that, you see Akina Big Ted started something, zimekuwa ni ndo artist. You start yours, kwa nini nyinyi? Nini starts his. I wish one day we get into one creative economy thing for content creators. Because if you're not organized, you don't be recognized. You have no space on the table. And I keep saying, if you're on the table, you're on the menu. So if you want to be on the menu, you can on menu, but I would want us, if you'd allow us to structure something, would you guys accept to fit into it? Talk about it.
Tutaisoma kwanza.
So that it goes on. Close door,
Should be collaborative.
we should collaborate.
Yes.
You know. But the problem with democracy is that you hardly always agree. So also you have a chance for leadership. So give it 60% leadership, 40%. If you don't agree, we will tell you how. And if someone wants to engage, plug into it. We've done that with Mathiris. Mathiris were the worst guys. Sio Moina wako hapa, Aruji wako hapa, Zalangata, we told them, listen, this is how we're organizing you, on your corridors, on your routes. If you want to engage with us, use this platform. It's working perfect. So we'll be able to do that, my brother and Luta. We decorate our cities. There's something we're doing. And actually, I'd like you guys to plug into. Many places you're seeing are not Instagrammable. And they don't have iconic signs, you know, like a Nairobi sign here. The thing we've had for a long time is KICC, you know, where you come and you hold your hand and you've covered it. And the current creatives are finding spaces around Poster, the old buildings. And so I was able to get 250 million shillings for downtown CBD to make the pathways wider, to create walking spaces. And so I'll ask Justin to connect you guys with the technical team. So ITVP and Engineer Tirop. And so how do we get you? See, that's one of the questions. So we think put it out so that you can come and say, okay, you guys know if this street was designed this way, we get better photos. And the sun rises from this side, and you guys know, you know all those things that I keep learning every day. You know, stand facing this place, we need something this height because of people's general height, etc. So we'll get a representative from you people who understands videography and film. And how many of you guys are in the photography space? Yeah. Utanipea mtu mmoja. Si cheo, hakuna salary, hakuna mshahara. It's just to coordinate. So to connect them with Chico and Engineer Kitonga. Because we are using this money now. In a short while. So please plug into it now. So what you can say now, Lutuli looks like this and it's helping us do this. And other parts of town, Woodville Grove, I've said let's make it one way. But this will be electric city, electric avenue. Make it one way, create bigger space. From Friday to Nafunga Barabara, guys set up the umbrellas, restaurants have your fresco lunches and whatnot. And more such spaces. Cities are about walkability. That you can walk, enjoy yourself, and there are those dustbins, there is whatever you require. So that we'll make sure we do. Segera, creative spaces. Now let me explain, and I think this answers 2 or 3 people's questions. Today, if Jay-Z was to come to Kenya, ata perform what? Kasarani. The acoustics, or Beyonce. So we have a program, a project that we're doing. What is currently Green Park Terminal in town? So you know Green Park? I said it on Citizen, I don't know if anyone watched, on JKL. And I think I'll start a podcast soon. So you guys can be watching. I'll start a podcast. Who can help me do that? I need this idea. Apple? You can set me up something here so I can be. Okay. So we've said this is the highest real estate in Nairobi, the most expensive, 13B. It's beautiful. It's right next to town, the iconic buildings. Uhuru Park is on one side, next to it is a golf course. It was made into a bus stop. So I've changed that. And now we're getting investors coming in, PPP. Last evening, you remember, the Chinese ambassador was saying, if you had a restaurant, a food court, where people can get food from every country, 50 countries or so, food throughout, for that cuisine. So I have the designs. We're doing hotel towers, but a convention center. That you can have a proper sound auditorium theater, 10,000 capacity meeting, 20,000 performance venues that are affordable, accessible. So imagine someone comes from Maju, Unamko Airport. I've given them now an exit from the expressway there. Exit Kungia Tao. To say Akuna, you have to go to museum or come on at Capital Center. So we're doing an exit of the expressway there, but you get into that Nairobi Convention Center and we create that space. On top of that, because we can't create all the spaces, we want to incentivize the private sector. If you're doing a huge development, if you provide for the creative economy, if you provide for playgrounds, we incentivize you, we charge you less, we tax you less. I think that can help. More people can do that more than just what we're doing. Now, kule mtaani, what we've agreed with the MCAs, because the MCAs are the ones who pass the budget, is to make sure that in every sub-county, 5 wards come together, there must be a place where there's a studio, there's like a small place people can perform, it's accessible, you don't charge commercial rates, and you're able to do it. That one we've put even in our budgets for us to be able to do. Many guys have talent, but always afford. When the street can records, when they, all these big guys, you can't afford it, but the talent is there. So even in the informal settlements, we want to put those now creative spaces for production. Not everybody will buy a mixer, not everybody has a guitar, not everybody has instruments. That's something we're doing. And I think once we structure this engagement and these teams, then we know how you guys plug in. Because then you know, you don't need all this equipment for this level of production. Now we'll have more contests and competitions, so our talent comes up. When we see talent that is bankable, we will support them. And we'll pay for an album, pay for a video shoot, pay for, because also that investment is needed. Currently, corporates have not been able to come into the creative space because they have not been incentivized, and that's at the national level. So we will do our part when it comes to that. You have anything on that?
I'll start with that one for the funding bit. in terms of identifying talent and then supporting it. So recently at Cabinet we passed the festival fund that will allow us to have some flexibility in terms of how we use our money for artists. So the engagement has always been, we would like to support you. As county, we try to see how we can give you the best environment to, if you're doing a gig, how best do we support you, but we couldn't support you financially because there's no legal framework for it. So ideally what we did is we would give you an ambulance, or we would give you a fire truck, which is a requirement that you should have. If there's advertisement that you would do, that you require to pay some sort of fees to the county, we would waiver that for you to reduce your costs. But now moving forward, there's now a structure that we can be able to actually give some sort of sponsorship, or we can jointly go into some sort of venture that would make money for both of us. So now we have a structure for that moving forward. So, and in fact, now when we do those competitions, then we have a fund that we can actually support the artists with the money to do what they need to do. Do I go into the other details that I wanted?
Of the things I've covered, so we don't, because
yes, all the things you've covered. Yes. So, in terms of customer service and how you can get in touch with us. So boss touched on a few things, but I just want to emphasize. So we are going to set up. We are setting up a hotline, which will have different ways you can access different things in the county. So instead of looking for somebody or getting so many different numbers to call the county, we will have just one, and then whatever your request is, it will be directed to the right person. So we're even setting up a call center for people who will actually man that and make sure that you get in touch with whoever you need to.
And they have to get back to you. If they don't, I will know.
Yes.
Yeah. So that escalation, IT is helping us. If something is there, it's still red, no one has responded to, I know who must answer to it.
Yeah.
Because that is a big problem.
Yes. So in addition to the call center, also the system that will allow us to track. We will also have that My Nairobi app, which you mentioned briefly. So we worked to develop something that you can have access also now on an app, be it payments, be it queries about specific parts of our sectors of our county. So whether you want to pay your land rates, you want to, what kind of license do I need for this specific business? All that information will be on the app. We are working with Safaricom to make sure that is done. But also it has that component of Talk to Sakaja. So we've put it as a general thing for now, while we see what kind of queries or comments or suggestions that we get, and then we'll keep modifying it as we go along. So we will know that, okay, these are proposals for partnerships with counties. The more we see which kind of proposals we're getting, then we'll segment them by sector. So maybe this is a health proposal, maybe this is a finance proposal, maybe this is a sports proposal. So we'll continue to modify it as we go along. But for now, it is a general one, and you can download the app. Actually, it's on your Apple Store, even on Apple, I think so. Yeah, but also on Android. Yeah. So just search and tell me if it's there. Yes. And then in addition to that, I know this is still a little bit. You can use emails. So we have someone manning our info at nairobi.go.ke. So when info@nairobi.go.ke. So if you still feel like you still want to get in touch with us through email, that's also another platform that you can use. So that's about customer service. And I'd like to just add on to the question that you asked there's a question that you asked about artists, how they can apply to be at the festival. So in the last festival, we had a link for people to apply to participate as a vendor or as an artist. But moving forward, those sorts of advertisements will also be one on the website, but also on the app that we have. So you can be able to find that there.
And apply early.
Yeah. I can touch on the engagements, the quarterly engagements. I know the sector had planned to be doing some quarterly stakeholder engagement with artists. So that's podcasters, content creators, photographers, musicians, producers, painters, all those people. So they will be doing, so they should be doing some stakeholder engagements moving forward, and you will be notified of those. We were also working on this Instagrammable sites. So the first step that the sector took was we identified each of the historic sites that are in Nairobi. So first beginning with CBD. So there was a plan on how to spruce them up, tag them properly so that you can actually see them, and then create a mini thing that you can actually take nice pictures with. So that was ongoing, and I know the sector has budgeted to do that in this financial year. So those are the historical sites, and then in addition to that, if you have like a Nairobi sign or a Hollywood sign, you know how there's a Hollywood sign, or so we would come up with more of those, and you can use the different channels of engagement that we've given to give some more suggestions of what else can be an Instagrammable site that we could do in the city. Yeah, I think that's all.
So mine will be very brief, especially to Segera's question. I think it's more of a challenge. I know Waziri has spoken about JVs on how we can create sustainable spaces, but we'd also like to hear from you. The idea of having free spaces is good, but how do we maintain these spaces? You know, if we're not charging, what does it mean then regarding just upholding the standard of the spaces? It would be good to just hear as you pose questions. I think only Nyawira is the one who tried to say this is a solution towards this. So we'd really appreciate that. You want to respond?
So what I was thinking is that when you like bring in these people who have potential into these kind of spaces, they also have to like have goals. You know, if they're gonna come in, they have to like have goals. If you're gonna agree that they're gonna like post 2 videos okay, let's say like 3 videos in a month. Let's say if it's a podcast, they have to like adhere to these goals. And if you guys feel, the guys that will be possibly monitoring this, see that this guy is like not doing so much, they'll have to like let him lose or give him, I don't know, something like that. Cause yeah, what do you think?
kuna watu wengine haishiki for a while lakini ikishika imeshika. You know.
I'm talking about the consistency part. Like you have to show these people that you are really determined to become who you say you want to be. Yeah, like you have to put in the work if you're going to be allowed into these spaces. Yeah, so it's all about goals and achieving these goals. Yeah. I answered you.
Are we creating more hurdles? Or, yeah?
Maybe just as a suggestion, it could be a membership fee. We do it at clubs every time. We do it at gyms. Is that I want to create content for 3 months, because many of these content creators, we work in seasons. So if we're doing 10 episodes, is to say I will pay X amount of money. That includes camera, sound, and I think it just becomes a bit cheaper. But the truth is that there's a space at what's this mall called? Garden City, called the Selfie Village. And everybody's going there to create content. Is that you have to pay to enter. It's great for everybody, but you have to pay either way. So I think to answer sustainability is that we're willing to pay. It won't be premium, but it would allow for smaller content creators. So it's just a membership fee.
There's just need to know how to distinguish. So that what you're paying tomorrow, multi-choice doesn't come there and pay the same. Exactly. Or Netflix. You know, so I need to be able to distinguish, because they'll come under the name of someone, but then you see how they've set up that place, and they've paid 3,000 bob. You know, you guys will help us with that.
I think maybe a solution to that is having a platform where people can register as creatives. You're part of, and whatever we're going to call it, a collective. We've been doing the creator collective chats with Terembe. But just to register, it doesn't matter what kind of creative you are, but because you're registered, then that gives you access to some of these, so that people won't, people won't kind of take advantage of these solutions. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, the aim is access. Okay. It's not people want free stuff, but you don't have to spend money on a camera and a background. Like, it's just access. So subsidizing so that we can maintain them as well.
Yeah, that was a good intervention. Okay. So, I've seen my brother there. You wanted to say something? Okay, let's hear you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Mr. Governor. I think you already like what you said about incentives, where you give incentives to the people who are trying to construct maybe spaces and stuff. But I also think if the government is intentional about content creation, maybe we can also have like lower taxes when importing cameras and stuff. Because I know the president mentioned about developing mobile phones for 5,000, but how will that be good for content creation? So I think maybe we can look at the taxes as well as the incentives.
Okay.
Because like importing a camera right now is quite, it's not cheap, yeah.
That's true. And I mean, just to answer that quickly, you know, those taxes are levied by the national government. It's for us now to make a good case for it. And that's what I was saying. Even with the digital access tax, when a sector is, you're trying to build it now, you don't tax it. You first incentivize it, it grows. Then when you tax it in 3 years, you'll make more money. Then you tax it down, and what you get now is what you'll get for the next 10 years. You know, that's my approach. Because, you know, create a bigger cake so more people get in. So by the time now we're taxing you in 3-4 years, when we've helped you in many things, you can bring your equipment, people know where to go to, etc. It's a bigger cake from which we're taxing the same amount, you know. So we'll lobby. We'll lobby our legislators. Okay, let me go quickly. Trudy, about guys being arrested, and I said they shouldn't be arrested, and some are still being arrested. That was the first issue. It's continuous for us, you know. So the county government, you see now what we must understand, we have the county government and the national government. The police are not under us. The council enforcement officers are under us. But I work closely with the police. So I keep talking to the OCPD or Central Police, please, stop this. And of course, if I need to make a bigger case with her boss or with the regional commander or with Minister Kindiki, I will do it to explain to them, because I know the president, you have goodwill of the president. But the officers who've known, here I'll get 5K, here I'll get 2K, here I'll get 3K. But then you guys have the tools. Expose these people. Record them. Get their service numbers. They're changing the uniform now, it'll have even the name. And we make examples of 2 or 3 of them, they'll stop it. You guys have the tools more than anybody else. So we have said it as county government. So long as people also don't abuse it. You know, we can't have certain things also being filmed in the streets. Indecency. Yeah, umeamua sasa hii ngoma sasa watu wakuje ndethe sijui wavae nini. You know, those ones we will not accept. For public decency. Yeah? And those ones you'll be arrested. Because there are laws that don't allow for it. But if you're doing something within the law, on any day of the week, not just Sunday or Monday, you should be protected, you should be allowed. So with this system where you can get through to us, we'll be able to know. And sometimes also it'll help if you notify us that I want to do this on Ronangala Street or on Moy Avenue on this day. And Nyalita or the sector will know, Akina Shafi will say, okay. He will tell someone personally from inspectorate, please, hii barabara leo kuna hii inaendelea, kaini rada now. When the cops come, my officers will protect you from those cops. So just let us know. It doesn't cost much. Let us know. Advertise with content creators. I didn't know you guys are open. And I'm glad to hear. So I just need to understand from my technical guys. I've seen Asha somewhere there, my chief finance officer. She has gone into another meeting. Whether there's a procurement law we need to abide by to have you guys available to be procured. The same way we procure the Star newspaper or the Nation or Citizen TV, we can say this is for social media, a budget. And if you put this budget for social media, then you guys can carry our ads on your platforms. But as a sign of goodwill, before we get there, please carry some of them. Weka dish in a county kwanza, tuone. Because we're growing into it. It's a new space. I don't know if any county government has been advertising with you guys or national government. If they have, tell us how they've been doing it. We'd love to do it. But this thing is give and take. I give you this, you give me that, you know, and we move forward together. So please share the videos for Dishi and for how guys can pay taxes. Or even talk about it. Mentions sometimes have more value than an ad that is seen as an ad. You know? If you talk about it, but hey, Maze Leo, nimechikimsea amefurahi juu ya hii kitu. Mazee inawaka. It has bigger impact than advertisers' announcement. People skip. They'll skip so quickly. And I'd rather pay more for that than for this thing. I skip ads like a nonsense. You know? First I mute, then I skip. Then I pay for YouTube Premium. So that I don't have to be on those things, but it doesn't work. You remember I raised that issue the other day in State House. Austin, Mr. Caliph. Yeah? When I was a kid, I used to come to Caliph a lot. Okay, Nanani. Amina Jasho. Clemo, I knew Clemo later. I had friends from my school, Aga Khan, who used to live there. I used to come for iftar and whatnot. Yo grawa ijakulwa desa. Ni sisi tunafanya project. Ni project ya county through a ward development fund. So the MCA has applied with his Hashim. I may apply. He's using money from the county to do up the ground. Desa. Mimi nimecheza pia ball desa, but then nikiwa mtoi. We will not charge people. It's not a private enterprise. There can be something small to maintain it when it's a big team. I mean, FC Leopards, if you want to train there, surely, and they take a whole day, we can charge those ones. But Otoyomta must be able to access that ground. So I know the issue of Desa. And thanks for the thoughts on dish in accounting. You know, food is a thing that gives people dignity, you know. Kunyima mtoi chakula, ama kupata chakula, kwa njaa, that's the one thing that either gives you or takes away. He for she. When you have male voices telling other men and young people and people they look up to that Maze, this is not right, it's not cool, it's not the way to do it. You know, catcalling, whistling, going to, you know, and we make examples of people who do the wrong thing. I think we'll make a lot of progress with that. But once we realize this Matatu or this SACCO has done that, apart from the criminal charges that they'll face, again I repeat, the police are not under us, but we work with them. Apart from the criminal charges they'll face, I will blacklist that SACCO. You'll have no license in Nairobi. And so I make them peer review each other to make sure certain standards of professionalism are held within, I mean, our ladies must feel safe. I'm a dad of a daughter. I have sisters, you know. I would hate for them to go through some of the things I've seen. Some of those I've been dealt with personally. I've intervened. I don't want to mention them because of privacy, but I've intervened personally. It is the lowest thing a man can ever do, you know. So we support you, and the more ideas you have about that, please share with us on what we can do. But let's expose these people. Those are animals, you know. We can't play around with that. Those are animals when you do that. Is politics a dirty game? I think it first of all, when it's a game, it's a problem. Because it's life and death for most people. When politics is wrong, people die. People steal drugs that should have saved a life. People divert money that should have built a hospital. I think it's that it has dirty people. And the problem with society is evil is done when good people keep quiet and refuse to get their hands dirty because it's dirty. You know, we need more good people engaged, active. I've said again, if you're not on the table, you're on the menu. Some kiacha tu wakora wote na wanasimama MCA ama MP ama governor ama nini, then you expect them to govern properly. If someone has been like this throughout their life, you think they'll change when they get power or money? They won't change. And so that's why everywhere I get a chance, I tell people, you know what, join a party. How many of you are members of any party? You're a member of a party? Good. Join a party. Because you guys, you say you vote normally in the election. But you're not making a choice. What you're finding is a menu selected by other people during nominations in parties. So you come in to choose from a pre-selected menu of sometimes the worst of the worst. So as many people as you can get, join any. I'd love you to join mine. But if you don't believe in its ideals, join another one. Join Azimio, join ODM, join UDA, join, be there. When there's nomination, join Wajakoyas, but don't overdo what it does. But if you're not in it, there's a proper guy. I admire this guy. I admire Ngoma. He's so nice. I wish you win. But if I don't come to vote for your nominations, you will not win it. I'll be left with another 2 people to vote for. It is real. And I think now Nairobians and Kenyans are realizing that actually who you elect can affect your life directly, every day, positively or negatively. So it's a whole other discussion of how to get people. Just some countries like Australia, voting is mandatory. You must vote. It's a crime not to vote. In Kenya, the voter turnout, if you look at it in the last election, it was so low. And especially for young people, it was so low that sometimes you question, do we really have the entire mandate of the people? So instead of representation of the people, it becomes representation despite the people. You know? And so that's something I can talk the whole day about. You know, just let's and let me ask you guys. See, mko kama WhatsApp group. Have you seen a WhatsApp group for the estate? Kuna mchango kwa estate ama kwa familia. Wanauliza nani atakuwa treasurer. The standards are so high. Baba kama uzizi. Hii tupatie Mama Shiro. You guys mnachanga 50k. The standards are so high on who is the treasurer or who is the chairman. For 50k mchango. But ya 40 billion ya Nairobi. Because you don't own it. Because you don't think it is yours. It is somebody else's. And that's why I keep saying a campaign like I am Nairobi, when you know it is yours. That someone who you will not even trust with your kiosk to run or to babysit for your child for an hour, you have to trust with your future. We must own our city. We must take it back. Then the standards will go higher. Bonke West, umuliza maswali part 2. First, thank you for being in love with Nairobi. Me, I'm in love with Nairobi, man. I've never been away from this city for 21 days in Meshikana. Tangu nizaliwe. Nimeenda kila mahali 10 days narudi. Hata Ocha niko na siku 2 narudi. Hii ndio Ocha yangu, huko ndo home. But we need to move that love to something practical. You guys have platforms. I love what you're doing on yours. I love what many of you guys are doing. Sometimes on top of the other content you create, talk about the city. Let's hype it. Africa's capital. You know, let's create a brand. You guys think about what is the brand? What is it we are selling? We have so much. This is the center of the world. From Dubai, you're in Nairobi in 5 hours. From London, you're here in 8 hours. From New York in 13 hours. The weather. Look, the people. We have what? By the way, unajua vile watu wa Nairobi wajatembea. We enda Naijo. Hata Lami, Lagos, hakuna. The airport ni kama ofisi ya Kamba. They don't even have a national carrier. Our internet is the fastest on the continent. You know, there's so much going for us, but zile mnaongea tu ni I don't know if I should go into it. Mnaongea tu vitu negative. Sometimes get time to talk about, boast about us. Yeah? Yana ku experience yourself, uliza watu wa UG, mko na kitu kai. Uliza watu wa TZ. Hii mtaone hapa ama London. You know, like let's brag about who we are. Because let me tell you, I know so many diplomats who are my friends. Time yao ikiisha Nairobi, they resign and they stay. They're still here. US ambassadors, UK ambassadors, they love it because they've seen other places. Nini mnangoja tu nikaweza kuomoka nikavuka boda mtarudi tu. So we also need to positively show what is working, even as you help us sort out what is not working. Not everything is working. There's issues with the environment. There are places which are still dirty. You know, the guys who used to collect garbage when I was a kid are still the ones there today. That's why I'm hiring 3,500 youth. Zile kamero zilikuwa zamani. Today, and I give an example, Embakasi East. It's a huge constituency from Mihangu, Utawala, mpaka Doni. It has 3 guys who are supposed to clean it. 3. And they are above 55. How do you expect that place to be clean? Alafu pia, since you don't own it, kuna madhe uko Kahawa market ananiuliza. And I was there. She's selling fruits and vegetables. She asked me, mbona hapa nje, hapa amukoti uchafu ni chafu? I'm like, you out of your mind, outside your stall. And it is your things. We must move from haki yetu to wajibu wetu. If everyone swept outside their house, the world would be clean. We must also take our responsibility. I'll do my part. We're putting the bins. Ubaya zile tuliweka zilikuwa vandalized, zikaibwa, chuma zinatumiwa scrap metal. Now we're using another material, some fiberglass, ambayo watu wa scrap watachukua. But once I've shown you, that's where you dump. This is how often we'll collect it. I've bought 27 refuse compactors. I've bought 27 tippers in the last 2 weeks. I'm hiring 3,500 young guys. We're doing waste to energy for the first time in Dandora dump site. Kutengeneza 45 megawatts of electricity. But now if you're driving and you throw out a bottle, how do you blame me? In a few weeks, El Nino is coming. What causes flooding here, El Nino? Illegal dumping. Nikanjo in a dump. See me? It's us. So when we're doing that campaign, I'll ask you guys to help us, because we've mapped out all the hotspots of the areas that are prone to flooding, the issues there. Unapata mtu ameka container kwa drainage. Anafati mboka ni mboka. When I remove those illegal structures, bado ni nyinyi mnapiga kelele. Na zikibaki kuflood, bado ni nyinyi mnapiga kelele. How do we work together to sort that out? You know, just food for thought for you to think about. Yes, parks lazima zikwe kila mtaa. Si Uhuru Park peke yake na Jivanji. Ukienda saizi TRM towards Roysambu, hata hiyo base kwa barabara I'm doing that park. We're doing that park. Jacaranda, we're in talks. High Ridge Teachers College are the ones who own that land. And we told them, please hand this back to the county. Isikuwe tu mali ya maandamano. Na mikutano za sijui bunge la mwananchi na siasa. Pia kwa place ya recreation. Recreation, the built environment gives people dignity. In the US, in either the Bronx or Harlem, what they did a social experiment. They fixed broken windows. They painted the estates. Crime went down by 40%. Yani hata dingo anasema easy place ya kuiba, because of just the built environment. And so this is what we're doing. Help us highlight and stop the negative aspects of it. So we want to do parks, first of all, in all the sub-counties. So we're starting with the 5 boroughs. So create boroughs: Nairobi North, East, West, South, and Central. Instead of Kuja City Hall, unaweza kuwa served hapo. So we'll start with each borough, and then we go down. But from now, we've said in the building code, if you're coming for approvals from us to build apartments or an estate, there must be green spaces. There must be places for our kids to play. Si tulicheza bano, tulicheza shake, tulicheza kati. Siku hizi watu wanacheza tu PS na Xbox, wananona, obesity, mental health. So we must create those safe spaces, and we're reclaiming grabbed land. This morning I spoke about Mbakasi East, Tasia. As in tuko na hosi ni yetu ilifunguliwa na the former president akianzisha. Hosi iko hapa, pale nimekaa for instance, ndio wards. Kwa ile mti kuna lab. Hapa katikati kuna mtu amegrab amejenga apartments zimefika 7th floor. You know what I've told that person? Thank you for your donation to the county. Those rooms are going to tutafanya finishing. Hizo ni manyumba za manases na clinical officers have fenced the place. Because if you don't deal with that, mambo ni matatu. Yeah. That's the only way we deal with them. Otherwise, if I start getting into negotiation, twende kotini, itabaki nimelipa mtu amegrab land ya Nairobi. Between the ward and the incinerator, a guy who was a very senior officer of NSSF, because that was a surrender from NSSF, anasema hiyo kiwanja ni yako aje. But when you do these things, you guys don't highlight. Mna highlight tu zile negative. Oh, Sakaja alionekana asijui na dem gani. Sijui Sakaja asijui amedunga nini. You know, let's focus on what will change our country. And you guys are so powerful, you don't know. You have so much power on your phones, on your thumbs, on your platforms, with your voices. Let's try even 2 years too. So for 2 years, let's try this experiment. We'll see how far we can go. So, sporting facilities. James, you also asked about that. James, Kwekataf, kuna MCAs through ward development funds. So what I've done, I've said every ward, 85 wards in Nairobi, I've given them each 23 million shillings. The 23 million shillings, this is what we'll do. I'd urge you guys to go to Karibangi South, Uru Ward. Uone ile turf imetengenezwa hapo na basketball court na netball. For such a small amount of money. Hao vijana wako busy. It is fun. It is nice. Jericho, the basketball court we opened the other day. It is reducing ills in society. So we're going to do more of those within our estate. It's in our budget, especially in this financial year. See, I said I'll answer everybody's question. Chief, Simani. So the infrastructure to keep fit. You see, a lot of our public infrastructure was grabbed a long time. That's why I'm fighting a big fight. And I'm fighting it, and sometimes I'm alone, because I'm being fought. Unajua ile unafukuza mwizi afa anapinduka sema wewe ndio pickpocket. But me, I said, you know me, you can't rattle me on such things. First of all, unajua me, I was a premature baby. I'm not even supposed to be here. So I'm on borrowed time. Mimi nilizaliwa nikakuwa incubator for months. So mi sitishwangwi na hivi vitu ndogo ndogo. If I've said this is the way we're going, this is the way we're going. And so I'm reclaiming those spaces. Let's have jogging tracks. Let's have cycle tracks. You know, let's tell people. The other day when there was UN Habitat, you know, I was supposed to cycle with the First Lady to Karura. I refused because I was embarrassed. Because we were cycling in the middle of the road. We should not be cycling in the middle of the road. We should be cycling on a cycle path. But if you guys have built up until the road, nikiamua nizigonge, mnaona mwanasea akisema, oh, unapiga jamii yetu, unapiga hii kabila, unapiga nini, me I will do what is right. But I need backup from Nairobians. You know, we must think of Nairobi in 20, 30, 40 years. Vision 2050. If we don't sort it now, it will never be sorted. And that's why this conversation is extremely important for me. So lighting, we've done a lot of lighting. If you go to Ngong Road, we've lit all of it. Mita Mingi. I mean, we've not covered everywhere, but we've actually done a huge number. Right now, we're doing from the junction all the way to Wayakiwe, Kingara Road coming down, up James Kishuru, places in Kileleshwa, Lavington. If you go to Eastlands Hospital Ward, there's a lot of lighting being redone. But what's the challenge with lighting? Zinagondiwa. Juzi nimepata wezi wameiba our infrastructure next to Kawangware. The good thing, walishikwa na mavijana wa hapo. Right? Till now they're in Mudangari police station. This Nairobi, I didn't say let Sakaja make Nairobi work. I said let's make Nairobi work. There's so much I can do. I can align budgets. I can get policy done. But Nairobians, until we own our city, it will never work. Until we all take it collectively. And I hope with your voices, you can be able to speak about that. Again, security, you know, in as much as it's a national function, we've teamed up with the Inspector General and with the regional commander. You remember when we just got into office, kulikuwa na case mingi za abductions, watu wanapigwa Nyongolo, Ngeta, Nini, they went down because of the kind of patrols we're doing. But many times these people are hidden by the citizens. And so we have restarted the project with Safaricom. Remember they had put cameras. Ambazo now we realize cameras imejengwa, but the control room for observing the cameras, no one even goes in there. The traffic lights, no one even goes to control them. So now is when we've taken them over. We're using the monitoring. The other day, I highlighted the Ngong Road incident where some people were mugged, and we caught them. Instead of guys saying, hey, well done, ni Juni Wazungu. See Juni Wazungu, it was brought to my attention. The others we have also been able to arrest, and will continue doing that. Alexia,
Thank you so much for your very kind words, and thank you for being here. As Ilantoya said, and Justin as well, many opportunities for collaboration with the county. We want, that's why for the first time we're the only government with a minister for public participation. Because our biggest asset is our people. We have 7 million people. I'm the governor. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a, and no one can be all those things. The ideas that you guys have that I don't have. So it's just bringing it together, giving you the platform to collaborate. Thank you for coming to Uhuru Park. We're actually concluding. In fact, the handover should be done before mid-September from the military. Right now, what had been left was 2 things. The sewer connection from the ablution blocks. We needed to cut across Kenyatta Avenue, and Ken had refused. But now that there's a contractor doing that part of Kenyatta Avenue, we've already been allowed to cut across. We've put the sewer lines along the road. There's what used to be called the malaria drain, which is being concluded. And so in the next 2 or so weeks, we'll be able to finish that. We're putting a people management system. They wanted us to charge guys to come to Uhuru Park. I said, we can't charge guys to come to Uhuru Park. We can agree to charge for Central Park because we need to maintain. But for Uhuru Park, where ilikuwa ukitama kitao na umekosa job, at least lunchtime, you just come and lie on the grass ukifikiria shida zako. Uhuru Park has such a great legacy and heritage, it will remain free. But to discourage guys who are coming for the wrong reason, to mug people or to cause disturbance or to do politics, we'll have a people management system. At the gates, you leave your ID, you leave some form of identification. We're putting a police post across, first of all, at Central Park and also this side of Uhuru Park. So we make sure there is top security. We're getting proper management to work with our teams. The guys who've done Hyde Park in London, the guys who've done Central Park in the US. We're creating a serious management team and a governance structure of the Nairobi Parks Commission. So at Lazima, Lazima work. And thanks for saying you're doing a good job. The Uber guys who are being harassed, they've been harassed for a long time. And we sat with them. There's a DTAC forum. I've taken the Uber guys from 2015. First of all, they are paid peanuts because there's a race to the bottom. So Uber reduces the price, Bolt goes lower. Bolt goes lower, little cab or taxi fare, whatever goes lower. We've agreed, we put in regulations when I was in Senate. I sponsored those regulations. Do you know 80% of the accidents in Kenya are Uber drivers and taxify and the digital drivers because of the little money we pay them, they have to drive for 20 hours in a day. Or 20, they are fatigued. So we're getting a balance between the consumer not having to pay too much, but also the driver making something. So with the pricing formula that has fuel, wear and tear, maintenance, etc., if fuel goes up, the price goes up automatically. So it's not a subjective decision that tao ni 500 lakini uko na how much. You know, that there's actually an algorithm. It's happened across the world. You know, I looked at the case in London where now they even regarded as employees. Oh, Makadere, oh, Madere. In New York, there's actually a charge. Once you get into it, there's a percentage that goes to the city because they're using the city infrastructure. So all those Uber drivers and whatnot, they should know. We did our part. I put the regulations. The minister has gazetted. We are working with AA Kenya and Competition Authority to set that up. But also now for town, the problem is they drop you off at the wrong places and you get them at the wrong places because you don't know where to get them from. So we've agreed with Cezanne of Uber, with the Bolt guys, with the Nigerian guys, and all those people. We've designated pick-up and drop-off points. We'll publish them. And on top of publish them, on your app, if you're on Kenyatta, if you're in Mwindi Bingu and you ask for an Uber, it'll tell you, go pick your Uber at INM. And at that INM, no one will harass them. They're allowed to pick up and drop, but not to park. Ni kuchukua na kuenda. Kudrop na kuenda. So they're not harassed. Or they're hustling. And that is why they're there. So, and my Kanjo guys know. And by the way, encourage guys. Do you know, we're talking about surveillance cameras. If you see a guy doing a traffic offense, it's an offense. Someone harassing someone, it'll take the offense. Do you know the biggest surveillance we have? Is Nairobians with your phones. So we're trying to add an additional thing on my Nairobi app. If you see an offense as a Nairobian, you capture it with your phone. The Finance Act that is being discussed right now by the MCAs, imeweka kitu inaitwa split the fine. Ukipata mtu amefanya makosa na hiyo fine ni 5,000 na wewe ndio umerecord na imekuja kwa app yetu, 2,500 ni yako, 2,500 ni yangu. Split the fine. So from now on, it's not snitches get stitches, it's snitches get riches. Yes. So I'm just waiting for the MCs to pass that. I tried it the other time, I tried it informally. Nikasema illegal dumping if you catch anyone doing it. Kuna madhe huko Ruai market, akapata one of the supermarkets, these big names. I will not say the name quickly, but it's a market. Wakashikwa, wakidump, hapo inje.
The Dish in a County initiative is set to change lives, promote nutrition, and will keep students in school.
Our children are missing a third of their education. Their parents are stressed. Chumi ni ngumu. Hiyo stress ya kufikiria mtoto atakula nini nimeitoa sasa kwa wazazi. From the 28th,
instead of me waiting for a traffic camera to capture that offense, which is 3,000 bob, uko na 1,500, na mimi nitamcharge ni 1,500. So we're working on the legislative framework to support that. Sio ni create employment. Hata Mbacha alijirecord ati done. Done. Akatupa ngambia we nimekupata. But sikumcharge. But I had to use him to help us record Dish in a County. That's the charge. Now he has a dustbin in his balcony. As I go to finish, because there are only 2 or 3 more. Hey, Eddie Butita muuliza maswali mingi. But what I like about Eddie, Butita, ni ma solutions. Ile siku ulikuwa status mazee hata mdosi alibambika. Ulikuwa unasema kitu, then you say how it can be done. Social holes we are reclaiming. Mingi ambazo zimekulwa. Yeah? We need to revive them, but we need more. When you're growing up, the population of Nairobi was very low compared to now. Now we're talking about 7 million people, man. And so we need to build more, and that's why we're putting in the building code. If you build a structure of this capacity, apartments of this capacity, you must create that social infrastructure. I can't say more about Nairobi as a city, pushing our brand, creating it, I used to say, I am Nairobi. When I was vying for senator, I am Nairobi. Then someone will ask you, so what does it mean to be a Nairobian? No, this is how we roll. This is how we deal. This is how our nightlife is. This is how our, social structure is. This is how we treat each other. We are courteous on the road. Even though it is not true, the more we say it, the more people will start doing it. It is showbiz. You create it. In the US, after the Great Depression, the president sat with them and told them, he called Hollywood and said, guys, let's create something. They created Captain America. They created Uncle Sam. They created the tags, Land of the Free, Home of the Brave. Their movies are showing, if you touch an American anywhere in the world, we'll get you. It gave them national pride. US wana export nini? Wanakulia tu hewa ya kutusho sisi ndio sisi. At the NBA, I saw one of these players saying, what do you mean? We're not the champions of the world. These are the world. It's just the US. But they make it look like it's the world. Let's do the same. And it's you guys who can do it, And you're the ones who can help us brand the city. And to create that niche. The tourism that can come to Nairobi. The only capital with a national park with animals in their unspoiled habitat where their grandparents were. And in the background, you're seeing the skyline of the city. And it's a country where the earliest fossil was found of humankind. That you can tell someone from China, welcome home. But we're targeting 2 million visitors. I was in Turkey. The guy in charge of tourism there told me, he's the honorary consular for Kenya. I said, me, I was asked to come here. He used to be an engineer at Boeing. In the 80s, he was called. He told the president, if you allow me to do what needs to be done. He's called Dr. Ali Bozatli. They looked at the tourism circuit and they said, okay, hapa tafanya hoteli ya hii, hapa ya hii. Leo ukienda Mombasa, hoteli zote zinafanana, White Sands, Serena, nini. We are not taking advantage. Kenya is the country with the highest species of butterflies in the world and birds. Do you know that? People don't know that. There's so much about this country that we've not been able to sell. There's a smart fact the Chinese guy told us yesterday. I'll get it. We didn't even know. Do you know when KICC was built, there was no building in China taller than it? Do you know that? We're commemorating 50 years of KICC on September the 11th this year. Which is spooky, because September 11th is when... But anyway, we're commemorating 50 years of KICC. But when KICC was built, the highest building in China was not even close to KICC. Look what happened because of leadership. You know, just get the right person. Society rises and falls with leadership. Uhuru Park shooting charges, that's a brilliant idea. What walipe, but we'll do a free day. So please, Susan, make sure, tell Kerich or David, Finance Committee, waongeze hiyo kitu. A free day kuja upige na tekno yako, na simu yako, na nini, kuja upige ushoot for free with your equipment. I think that's a very good idea, and thank you. Pigeni makofi, hiyo ni fiti. Then I think the last thing was really, how do we share information? How do we know this venture capital is coming? This is the opportunity that is coming to Nairobi. And that's the task on our side. You know, Susan and Nyalita figure out Kaufman are coming, who is going to be in the room. Isiwe tu kujuana, if you have an idea, you're able to come and be able to showcase it. How do we train you? I did something when I was an MP that really worked. Training younger.
We are co-workers with God in feeding the future. And so in every meal that we feed, we're directly inputting in the future of our country. So thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to working with you in feeding the future.
Watoto wetu wote wa primary school katika Nairobi County watakuja shuleni, watapata chakula shuleni. County ya Nairobi watatoa pesa, na national government, we will match shilling for shilling what the County of Nairobi would.
You don't even need to post anything from today. Let's create an environment where we are partners. Itakusaidia pia wewe na biashara yako. Itakujenga, nita advertise kwako, na pia there's someone out there with the next big idea that they require to use. Creatives know how to create, they don't know how to sell, or they don't know how to run a business. How do I create camps for you? Financial literacy, you know? How do you separate your hobby and your income? Because sometimes you might think you're making money, but really you're actually running a cost center, not an income center. Na ujui, na sasa watu wamekuona, wewe ni popular mazee, unapigiwa na mazee, nitumie hii, nitumie. You end up, and in 5 years, you've been a cashier. That money has gone through your hands, but hauna kakitu. So I'd love to help you guys learn how to do that. I'll even share my personal stories. Me, I've gone through it. I've known how not to have. I've known how to do business. I've known how to invest. Kazi zangu pia zinawasaidia, nitawasaidia nazo. And I'm available for that. Second, finally, Ben Saiko. More creative space. More creative space. I think I've addressed that. Studios, art centers. I mean, you guys, man, you're living in the best time to be a creative. Ati kuna governor anafikiri kuwajengea ma studio. Na kuna chief officer ni Clemo. Na kuna, you know, this time if it doesn't work, it never work. Tufunge tu kila mtu ende kwao. Tafuta ocha kwenu ilikuwa wapi? In Nairobi iko museum tu. But we'll create more of those spaces for you guys, you know. And I'm really negotiating with the president to help us, you know, really zero rate the equipment we need for 2 years. So let's give this industry a 2-year grace period and see what dividend we'll get. After that we will tax you guys. But after giving you guys a chance to make it, to monetize, you know, your content. I saw him the other day with the TikTok guys. I hope walikubaliana kitu. Yeah, and I'll get feedback that you guys can. You guys said YouTube doesn't allow you to charge certain things or to target whatnot. When the comments are coming for guys to pay, it has to be a Visa card. We integrate with M-Pesa. That guys are like, oh, hizo buttons mlikomentaje, balloons ama nini? Stickers. Mtu abuy stickers na inaingia kwa M-Pesa direct. You know, Kenyans will do that. Me, if I see something I like, maze. There's some guys that really love your content. But I don't want to say so what I look like I have a favorite. Oh, someone is not my favorite. Finally, Patricia Maze Joe, I think I need a retreat. First of all, make sure you invite me for the October BYSS. Yeah? You still call it that? Yeah, make sure you, and say hi to everyone in your team. These are guys we've grown up with them in church, whatnot, Bapo, etc. I really love them, and I like what they're doing. Event spaces, I think I've addressed that to some extent. On top of what we'll do as a government, it's helping other guys do it commercially, but incentivizing them. So that if they're paying a lower approval fee or lower rates with the county, they can then pass on the advantage to creatives all over the city. I'd love to be sitting like this in a place where kuna gig space na COST, sio Riverside ni Kayole, you know, ama ni Dandora, na ni safe, na unajua mko fiti. Your audience know they can come there and they can live and go back home properly. You know, those are the dreams we have for the city. Digital assets tax, as I said, I really want to get more into that, and I'll talk to Kuria Kimani, and the cost of gadgets, how we can really reduce them. I'm so sorry about the incidences you've gone through. Na sijui mbona wewe unaibiwa sana hivyo. Unajua ni kuna watu umekuwa unaacha wakam. Shafi maziwe. No, hizi kwa hiyo. No, but you see, it shouldn't get to that. You know, and I mean, if you see it's such a safe place, there's, you know, generally there's a problem in society because of unemployment and all that, but it can't be that you are being targeted that much, you know. And the criminal justice system, it can't be that you go report and the cops want something from you. No, it should be utumishi kwa wote, you know. And so, me, what I tell people in such a case, show me that specific person who asked for that. Let them be an example. Ndo wengine pia wasirudi kwa hiyo cycle ya kutuanisha watu. But I'm so sorry for that. Replacing the camera and the laptop, the price has now doubled, etc. It's tough. Yeah. But sijui tuduaje sasa. Nimba laptop. Acha. And it's true, you guys, and you see, for you, you're a pioneer. You're self-taught. Many times when you were starting doing this, you had no one to look up to. You guys are looking sideways for affirmation. You're not looking up to anyone. But now these other young ones can look up to you. So give them what you never got. Mentor them. Talk to them. Tell them, by the way, I tried this, it doesn't work. You'll have fun, but you have nothing in your pocket. So also, Shakespeare says, wise is he who learns from another's mishap. Let them learn from yours. Yeah? As you grow. I'm very embarrassed that there was no Kenyan music being played. Shafi, next time, please. And you know how me, right now my favorite is Wakadinali. Na ule Stilo. And you know I've been listening to that throughout the last few weeks. Of course, my all-time favorite is Nyashinsky. All of you know that, and I have no apologies to make. That's my homie. I like Calligraph, but Nyashinsky is the truest OG. Let's play Kenyan music. I brought a bill in parliament. It was defeated. What walienda kwa Kaipiga marketing agency? I said 60% local content must be there. They laugh at it. We say we want to be like Nigeria. You know what Nigeria it is? 90%. When they were starting and they didn't have creators. But because of saying that, sometimes in economics, supply creates its own demand. Not the other way around. Not demand creating supply, but supply. That now guys know, okay, I have to go and we're producing. That's how China, and the example we got yesterday from the ambassador, they just said, let's move from these cottage industries. Tengeneza industry t-shirts, print t-shirts, tengeneza masimu, copy this guy's thing, produce. So let's be able to get guys to produce. You can't have our kids waking up. The first thing they see is Alejandro. Then after that is Blessing. Those Nigerians. And I think Kenya has no talent because it's cheaper. Right now, you guys, creative economy, musicians are owed more than close to $1 billion now by our radio stations and our TV stations. Who is talking about that? You guys are not making noise about it because you're used to it. You know, I know now you have other digital spaces, but remember the guys who can only be paid if their things are aired on TV and on radio. Be their voice. Talk about it. Yeah. I think finally, mental health issues, and I'm glad that we as a county have taken it seriously. Number one, clinical psychologists were never a cadre that is recognized in county governments to be employed. No county had even hired one. I went to Chiromo Jenga's place and had a sitting with them like a year and a half ago. And they explained that to me. I made sure in Nairobi we have it. And we've created centers for wellness that are not just what used to be called Madare. Because when someone says, I'm in a Madare, unasema, hey, maze, kamemrarukia, I'm a cheesy. Do you know when I was in parliament, one of my colleagues had a mental health issue, and she got, she had bipolar. And she went and asked the speaker, we have insurance as MPs, but my doctor cannot be paid because you've not touched this segment. And the speaker was like, oh my goodness, Jebi Muturi. When introduced it, do you know that is the highest used specialty? Ya wabunge. Guys are going through stuff. But everyone also act macho. Kwanza machali maze. Hatujui lazima upige picha na renji ama na hii gari. We are trying to keep up with the Joneses. But nikuzi. Ladies talk amongst each other. They talk. Sisi we are trying to be macho. Let's stop it. It is okay not to be okay. People need to know that. So as a county, we're doing that. We're even going, for those who are addicted to substance abuse, you know, at Sinai, we've started our first rehab there. We're doing methadone centers because it is actually a big issue. We're losing a generation in this city. And you know, the biggest culprits or the biggest victims are the creatives. Because of what we call the dopamine dump. You guys have gigs in the weekend, you're at a high, everyone is praising you, whatnot. Monday you're alone and the landlord is there. And you're getting likes on your Instagram and your TikTok. And you're seeing your life, I am batani na the real life. Creatives and politicians. Same was up. Tuanze chama yetu by the way. Tusaidiane. You know, I've had budgets today. Drinking as an escape. Shortage of those dowers, you know. I mean, let us know what do people need to get the help they require. I ordered drugs for the city in huge quantities. I paid 250 million the other day. But maybe I'm just ordering not what is actually needed. Let us know. So at the end of it, as I conclude, I think the biggest point is that we need each other. Yeah? We have committed to do our part. Do you guys commit to do your part? To partner with us. And to just let's give it 2 years. Consistently. Then we see what the outcome will be. Ikiweza imeweza. Kaiwezi, deuces, endeleeni na mambo yenu. Mimi nile na siasa. Sasa naanza kufanya rallies. I think this is a more important. Yeah. So tu kila mtu basi mimi tu TBM na hiyo mambo yote na Kenya Kwanza na mambo ni matatu. You know? I see such great promise in this country. You know, I was in Kach the other day. I was in Eldoret the other Sunday. I was in Kwale. I see these young people and they have so much hope and they say, look, Sakaja, man. Tunakutegemea. I'm like, guy, mimi nawategemea. You can be a symbol of hope, but I need you guys to tell me this generation of ours, this is how we get them. You guys are more powerful than I am. You speak to many people. When I speak to them, they think it's for politics. When you speak to them, they see themselves. If there's any one agenda we have, or I have, that you feel honestly this is noble, it is not political, it must be done, please carry it on your platform without us prompting you to do it. Or without you thinking I must, you know, just do it. It's the right thing. You have that tool. Again, I repeat, you have that thing Tomboya didn't have. You have that thing Mwai Kibaki didn't have. You have that one thing the Lancaster team didn't have. Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere. The ability to capture minds of millions at the touch of a button, at the sound of your voice. Use it for good. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry for boring you. I've spoken for more than an hour. Tuendele pamoja. Asanteni sana, Shafi, back to you.
Thank you very much to the governor. Thank you very much for you guys and the questions that you've asked. Sorry, I have a very bad cold. Sijazoea kukaa chini ya miti, mimi ukaa ndani ya maclub, but I'll do better. Asanteni sana. I'm hoping you can have a group photo or if anyone wanted their own personal photo for them.
The Dish in a County initiative is set to change lives, promote nutrition, and will keep students in school.
Our children are missing a third of their education. Their parents are stressed. Chumi ni ngumu. Hiyo stress ya kufikiria mtoto atakula nini nimeitoa sasa kwa wazazi. From the 28th of August, every day, all children in public primary schools in Nairobi will get a hot meal at lunchtime.
In June, the governor and the president commissioned 10 central kitchens across the county that will be operationalized in time for the children to get a nutritious meal by the third term.
And I'd like to thank the governor of Nairobi. I met him a couple of years ago when he was senator, and he promised that when he became governor, he would implement a school feeding program for all children in Nairobi. And today is that day.
We are doing 10 kitchens in 10 weeks. This is the only project I have sat with contractors. Nikwambia hii msieke mchezo. And they have understood they are not just building a building. They are giving our children dignity and a hope for the future.
Nashukuru sana kwa hii kazi tumepewa. Tulikuwa katika hali mahututi, kuko na njaa, tulikuwa na kiangazi, lakini tumeshukuru gavana wetu Sakaja, tumepata kazi na hawapagui wa mama ama wana baba, tunapewa kazi kikafla.
Kwanza ngumembwekze kwa gavana wetu Sakajare. Hii shughuli tumeletwa na gavana wetu inaitwa Na County. Hiyo promise yake imefika. Si mabondo tunapiga hii shughuli. My youth.
We are co-workers with God in feeding the future, and so in every meal that we feed, we're directly inputting in the future of our country. So thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to working with you in feeding the future.
Watoto wetu wote wa primary school katika Nairobi County watakuja shuleni, watapata chakula shuleni. County ya Nairobi watatoa pesa na national government. We will match shilling for shilling what the County of Nairobi will be giving so that we can have all our children in school.
I have grandkids in primary school, so I just wanted to get a feeling of what we'll be eating, and it's okay.
The Na County initiative is set to change lives, promote nutrition, and will keep students in school.
Our children are missing a third of their education. Their parents are stressed. Chumi ni ngumu. Hiyo stress ya kufikiria mtoto atakula nini nimeitoa sasa kwa